Hi, my name is Marty Owings and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at Della Magna Watercolors. They're made in Italy and they are magnificent. The moment you lay your hands on these Della Magna watercolors, you can tell the quality and care that's put into everything that they do in making these paints. These are swatch cards, which I'm going to swatch out today. There are 36 beautiful and extraordinary colors here, and I'm going to swatch them all out so that you can see exactly what they look like. But even the dot cards, these sample cards have a tremendous amount of paint on them, and also they're on really high quality paper, and you can tell that they care about the quality that goes into the watercolors. Now, these are specialty watercolors made in Italy that harken back to original formulas from ancient times and sort of the Italian Renaissance era. So you're going to find that these watercolors are made a little differently than maybe watercolors you used before. Now, these watercolors are expensive, and we're going to talk about how much they cost shortly here in the video. But they aren't cheap, and it isn't cheap to make really extraordinarily beautiful watercolors. And we'll talk all about the properties and the light fastness and things like that as we go along in the video today. But just to say that you get what you pay for is a huge understatement when it comes to these. I wanted to quickly mention that I am teaching classes over at Wet Paint. These are online, so anybody from wherever in the world can join them. I'm teaching both single sessions and a complete set of classes in a multi-session format. Again, they're online. Anybody can join. We've had lots of good feedback and success with the classes so far, so I hope you join us in learning the joy of field sketching. I'll leave a link in the description. Now, again, I was sent 36 sample cards here, and I just love this paint. I can't rave enough about it. The card in the upper left-hand corner, that is a Prussian blue paint, and you can just see how beautiful that paint looks. And each card has listed on it exactly what the pigment is and its light fastness rating, whether it's opaque, semi-opaque, or transparent. There are a few mineral-based granulating paints in the Della Magna line, which are extraordinary because if you read the names and you look into where they're from, they are pretty interestingly exotic, and also they're really fun to use. And you can see the color pop here. This is magnificent. This is a palette from Della Magna that I'm going to try out today. This comes with 12 really cool colors. I went on their website though, and I think they're on back order or sold out for now. So you may just have to get on a waiting list if you want to order one of these smaller palettes. As I said, there's 12. They come in a really nice tin case. There's an embellishment, a wax seal on here, denoting the high class status of Della Magna paints, I guess. I just thought it was kind of cool that they stamped it. And then you open the palette up, and it's got obviously the nice enameled interior for you to use as a palette or mixing area for your paint. And then it comes with, like I said, 12 half pans. This one here is a really nice green. We'll open it up, but it's wrapped in gold foil, really high class. This is a really cool green color, and it is pretty light fast. Again, all these paints are just generally rated between 6 and 8 in light fastness, but they're you can tell they're all hand poured. They're just beautiful paints. So I'm going to unwrap all of these, and then we'll get to swatching them out. So I mentioned the colors you get in this palette, and the darker colors are on the left there, and the sort of lighter colors are on the right. But this is a sap green, and then you get a potter's pink, a caput mortem, which is a kind of a brick red color, and then this geotite, Cara indigo, natural magatite, and then that green yellow, the natural lemonite, a deep orange, and that's a Quinn gold deep, and a Medici red, which is really cool, and then an ultramarine pink. Let's take a quick stroll over to the Della Magna website there. And if you go on the About page, you can learn about the watercolors, their passion behind them, sort of the craftsmanship they put into it, and how they source and make their pigments. Everything that they do seems to involve a lot of passion around how they manufacture, obtain, and produce the pigments that you get the joy of painting with, which is really cool. There's a set right there, a smaller set, and I see that it's sold out for now. But be sure to check back on the site often as they list new sets and new colors as they become available. I believe there's 72 or 74 colors in the complete line of Della Magna. Now today we got to take a look at 36 on the swatch cards, and then we also got to look at some of the colors in the palette, which were extraordinary as well. Everything's listed out in terms of the pigment, the light fast rating, the transparency for each item. So if you click on it, you can find out all the information you need to know about each particular color, and a lot of information about how they're sourced and made is also included. And Della Magna says on their site that all of their colors, every color they produce, is single pigment. I like Della Magna's site because basically everything you need to know about the paints is very transparent. Everything is listed. You click on each color and you get even more detailed information. But let's talk about the price a little bit, because this is going to be a blocker for people who are looking for cheap or inexpensive or even medium priced watercolors. Again, these are artisanal, handmade boutique watercolors that you're not going to find anywhere else in the world, generally speaking, and they are made with extraordinary care. And that kind of care costs a little bit of money, and sometimes quite a bit. Now, these colors, for instance, I don't expect people are going to go plop down $70 on a half pan just so they can get their hands on this color. But if you wanted to splurge and you had the money and the disposable income to do it, go right ahead. But I am definitely not asking people to spend their rent money or food money on watercolors. That's not the point. The point is that I like to explore the full range of watercolors out there, and that might include boutique watercolors. I totally get it. It's not going to be for everybody, but if you can afford it and you like watercolor painting and you enjoy it as a hobby or a profession, these are some very, very extraordinary paints. I love the palette I have, and it's just so interesting to see paints that are made this way. All of the colors that I tested were beautiful, but I had a few favorites. I really, really like the Medici red. That their site says it's a modern red dedicated to the glories of the past. Azoic red with a neutral tone, intense, luminous, transparent, and rather resistant to light compared to many other similar reds. Medici red is inspired by the famous Florentine patrons of the Renaissance, and it's a beautiful color. I include some blues in there, but in the center, here are my favorites. These are my favorite watercolors in the set. There's 10 of them, and I just loved these. There's a Quinn Gold in there. There's some nice blues. That Cobalt is extraordinarily beautiful. I already mentioned the Prussian blue, but there's also an indigo here and some really nice yellows. So these are really extraordinary colors, fun to use, and I really enjoyed sampling these colors. There's that indigo. That's just an extraordinary indigo color for a watercolor paint. Just beautifully made. Kudos to Della Magna for creating and being a place that still believes in handmade craftsmanship of extraordinary watercolors. And thank you for visiting the channel today. If you're passionate about art materials and interested in learning more, please consider becoming a member of the channel. I was not paid for this video review. Any thoughts and opinions are solely my own. For owingsart.com, I'm Marty Owings. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.